Hey everyone, today's tutorial is for this super simple bow garland. So all you need to be able to do is tie a slip knot and chain to make this. As you can see, I've got sort of a Christmas color scheme going on here with my bow garland. And you can make it whatever length you'd like. All you need to do is keep adding bows to your garland. Alright, so all of the materials that I used to make this are in the video description below, as well as a link to the blog write-up that I had for this pattern. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Alright, so to make the first bow and all the bows for the garland, we're going to be taking our yarn and forming a slip knot. So if you've not tied one before, let me walk you through how I like to do them really fast here. So I like to lay my work over my workspace, so my desk here, and I'm going to take the end that's not connected to my ball, so the tail, I'm going to loop it over on top of itself, sort of making this loop off to the side like kind of a lowercase b. And then I'll take what I've passed over the tail here, and I'm going to cross it back over underneath that loop that I've made. So it sort of wraps itself around and then sort of cross bi-cuts this O, this loop that we've made. And then I like to take these two ends, the tail and the working yarn, and kind of push them together and then pinch the section that's going underneath this ring and then pull it up. And then by pulling it up and grabbing those tails and pulling apart, I'm going to tie a nice slip knot with a long tail that tightens when I pull the tail and not when I pull the working yarn. I like using this one especially because it lets me tighten that slip knot whenever I'm done chaining, and it gives me a nice long tail that I'm going to later use to form the bows for this garland. Alright, so we can go ahead and take our crochet hook and tighten that slip knot down onto our hook. And all the crochet that you need to do is chain for these bows. So we're going to chain 45 stitches. So just yarning over and pulling through until we have 45 stitches total. Alright, so there's my 45th chain stitch, and I'm ready to fasten off. And I'm going to do that by cutting a short tail here with my working yarn, and then yarning over one last time and pulling that through the last chain on my hook, and then just pull, pull, pull until it passes all the way through. And then from there we can tighten this really tightly, so kind of scoot your hand down to tighten that last chain and give this a nice short trim. Then we're going to repeat on the other side. We'll pull that slip knot tail really, really tightly and then trim. And we're going to save this tail because we're going to use it to form the bow. So to form our first bow, we're going to take the chain and sort of loop it over like this, and then cross one leg of the chain over the other. And then we'll take the long loop that we formed and smash it down flat. So you can see these are the two sides of the ribbon, and then that loop that we've crushed sort of makes the bow shape. So we're going to put that on top of the tail that we've just cut off of our ribbon, or off of our bow, and then tie a double square knot with it. So try to get it so it's right at the center, and tie pretty tightly. Then we can trim these two tails short, and that forms the first bow. You'll want to flip it over because we want this side with the knot to be on the back side of the garland. And that forms our first bow. So we're going to continue making bows by chaining 45 stitches. So let's get our next bow made. I'm going to be using white. I'm making sort of a Christmas colored garland here. Again, tying another slip knot and chaining 45. Alright, so I have all 45 of my chain stitches, again cutting a short tail on the end I'm on, yarning over, and then pulling really tightly and scooting even to tighten that last chain stitch. Trim this end short and discard. Then tighten this slip knot really tightly and trim. And then save this end because we're going to use it once again to form the bow. So the rest of the bows that we make, we're going to be looping them through one of the loops of the first or whatever is the next bow on our garland. However, we want to make sure that our bow is facing the wrong way. We want all of our knots to be on the same side. So flip your first bow over so you can see the two short tails cut from that first knot, and then take whatever bow is next, pass it through the right hand loop or the left hand loop, it doesn't really matter which one. And then once you've done that, it's just like forming the first bow. We're gonna double it over on itself, cross one of the legs over, and then squish that loop together to form the bow. And then take our tail and tie it around the center. And the reason we flipped our bow back over is because we want, again, all of the knots to be on the same side of our garland. All right, so now I can trim. And that is my second bow. So we're just going to keep adding bows in this manner until our garland is the desired length. So my last bow color is going to be green. And once again, I'm going to tie another slip knot. Chain another 45 stitches. So once you're all done, you can flip your garland over, and it's easy to hang up too. If you tack it, you can just make sure those loops on those bows are tacked through the tacks, or if it's going on the Christmas tree, you can loop that through the branches of your tree. And of course it has multiple purposes too. It doesn't have to just be for Christmas. These could be any colors that you want. So if you have perhaps a theme in your room, maybe a nursery has a color scheme, this makes an excellent decoration. And it's great because you don't have to be a pro crocheter to make it. All you need to know how to do is chain and tie a knot. Alright, so that's really quick and an easy tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you would consider giving my channel a subscription, it tells me that you like what I do and you'd like to see more. Happy crafting, everyone!